right. I think we're live. Let me know. I'm 3 minutes late. This person said, and he's late, a classic. I'm never late. I'm 3 minutes late today. The reason why I'm late is because I wasn't smart enough to realize that you had to actually show that you had to press the button to allow the camera to turn on. And so I was wondering why the camera wasn't showing. So that's why I'm late. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Just waiting for people to come in. It is. I'm smoking a hookah today because I don't know why actually. I always have a hookah because friends that come over like the flavor stuff and whatever. So today I'm smoking a French tobacco apparently, and it's quite disappointing. This is what I'm talking about. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that message? Where is it? Where is that message? Hold on. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. Congratulations, Joe. Finally hit half a coin, working hard in the second half. Well done, Robert. Keep going. Stop fucking around and get the full Bitcoin. By the way, can you see the bad omen has been removed? We have a good omen now. And I'm going to bring up markets as well. Futures are opening up in 24 minutes. So we can share the futures open together. I think it's going to be pretty bullish. Let's see what happens. Congratulations. Got my 1 Bitcoin and got married. Let's go. Love it. Congratulations. You're the best man in Germany communities. Hey. Okay. I studied German and I don't speak a word of it. I studied it in high school. Good thing is, unlike the French, people in Germany speak English. Scott said, why are red candles a bad omen? Scott, if you can't work that out for yourself, there's nothing I can do, my friend. We're going to get to questions in a second. I just want to say hi with you guys right now. Yeah, we're going to talk about the guy who lost 25 Bitcoin as well. Remember, these live streams are not videos, so whatever you guys want to talk about, we can talk about. I got my 1 Bitcoin and got divorced. Congratulations too, I guess. Okay. So everyone, please share this. Share the link. Share it out to people. If this is the first time you're tapping in here, please subscribe. We're going to talk about the supply shock. We're going to talk about the guy who lost 25. Hold on. Who lost 25 Bitcoin. Need B of A report reposted. Oh, that's true. I forgot to do that. Hookah is off brand for you. Tell me about it. And it sucks. I don't know why people smoke this shit. But at least you still have the Walmart robe. This is the sat stacking robe. Get it right. Get it right, Scott. This is the sat stacking robe. In fact, you know what? Let's stop messing around, shall we? Just stop messing around. I actually got a gift today, a bag of tobacco from the Partagas factory in Cuba. Just raw tobacco. Partagas is my favorite Cuban brand. And a friend of mine who was visiting there has a friend there and got me a bag of tobacco to put in my pipe. So that shit, I'm excited about that. Try that out. And there it is. That's what it should be. It's hookah shit. Right. So let's talk about the guy who lost 25 Bitcoin. From what I understand, he lost 25 Bitcoin. Correct me if I'm wrong. He lost 25 Bitcoin because him and his dad had bought 25 Bitcoin back in 2012, done nothing with it, put it into some wallet, and then it got jacked. Have I got that correct? Let's talk about the lessons that you need to take away from this. See, look at this. This is how you get yourself put into timeout. There you go. Good luck. Ken, I've already smoked a Cuban cigar today, so right now I'm sticking with a Camacho Corojo. And the reason why this is important, and I'm not a big fan of non-Cuban cigars generally, but the reason why this is important is that Cuba used to use the Corojo type leaves in order to make their cigars back in the day. And now they don't. So Honduras took over and started making Corojo type leaves. And so this cigar is a Honduran puro, which means every leaf is from Honduras, and it's a Corojo old style leaf. Right. So this guy who lost 25 Bitcoin, his password manager was 30-bit, and his seed phrases were on that. Okay, so he put his seed phrases on his password manager. Okay. Tell me something. What have you guys learned from that story? What have you guys learned from that story? Because the problem here is that a lot of people are going to be reading that story and be completely terrified of getting involved in Bitcoin. So I feel like my responsibility here and in any conversation regarding that particular story is to help people realize the stupidity behind that story. Okay, Matthew said, do not put your seed phrases on anything electronic. Air gap wallets are the best wallets. But think about it. He has owned this since 2012. How much, and again, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. He has all of my empathy. Him and his family have all of my empathy. But that's your story. My story is different. My job right now is to help people realize who are coming here trying to learn about this story and wondering, that they're going to stay away from Bitcoin because of your stupid story as to why it's a stupid story. He held this since 2012. How much education has come online in Bitcoin since 2012? Right? How much technology has changed since 2012? And if anyone tells me I'm not being empathetic enough, you can just, write that in the comments so I can mute you out. If you think that I should be sitting here going, oh my God, poor this dude, poor that dude, sure, he has all of my empathy. But at the same time, now, for the people looking at the story now, this is someone who bought Bitcoin in 2012, apparently understood it, and then put his keys on a password manager, from what I'm reading here, kept it electronic, didn't put it in a multi-sig, didn't do anything like that. Almost $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Didn't do anything besides the initial thing that he did in 2012. Didn't read any information at all about what's changed. I just got a text from Peter Dunworth. Didn't get any whatsoever smarter since 2012. Him and his dad, because they're apparently both, Bitcoiners, right? And now he's visiting El Salvador because he wants to high-five the happy hippies rather than taking care of his legacy. Now, again, I will reiterate, I have full empathy for his story. But I don't want anyone else sitting here listening to this shit, because there's going to be a bunch of media around this story, etc., thinking that it's not time or they need to wait to get into Bitcoin because of this story. Because this is a stupid story. Now there's services like Casa out there, like Unchained out there, that will help you figure out a multi-signature solution if you've got a reasonable amount of Bitcoin, right? These guys bought some fucking Bitcoin, which is like, apparently someone said it was like $300 or $400 worth of Bitcoin, forgot about it, and now that it's worth a bunch of money, and they're around the world high-fiving happy hippies and not taking care of their responsibilities, there's now this story. Anyone think I'm being too harsh? Am I being too harsh here? So now people are going to be reading this story going, oh my God, Bitcoin's so scary. No, that guy was stupid. Since 2012, all he's done is just held it and never ever upgraded his security, never ever learned about what's new in the world, never learned about multi-signature wallets, never learned about multi-signature solutions, never learned about why you need to keep your keys off of a fucking password manager online. Like, what are we talking about? And this is what's high-fiving around the world, high-fiving happy hippies around the world. This is why I don't go to conferences. Martin said, how many bathrobes do you wear? You guys have the weirdest fucking questions. So my wardrobe is very, very similar. I have 3 of the same shit for everything. So if I like a shirt, I buy 3 of them. If I like some jeans or whatever, I'll buy 3 of them. Like, if I like this bathrobe, I have 3 of them. Travel with that, super easy. One can be in the wash, there's 2 available. It's very, very simple. Did you guys like the interview with Eric, by the way? That was my first interview ever that I've done, like interviewing someone. And it had to be Eric. There's no scent in those candles. What's the best cold wallet? I don't know. I don't know. The best wallet setup to me is a multi-signature wallet. So speak to Casa, speak to Unchained, speak to all these other people that help you set this stuff up, and it's their security's job to figure out what the best is right now. I'm not a tech expert. How am I supposed to know what the best wallet is with the best security, 5-layer security? I don't fucking know. That's what I pay people to figure out. Okay, hold on. We're gonna talk about something controversial here. I don't know why you're asking me this question, but British. When should someone discuss how much crypto they have with their significant other? What would you do if you were dating someone and they said you should divest? Holy shit. Holy shit, Joe. You trying to get me canceled, Joe? If I get canceled, I want everybody to find Joe and blame Joe. Okay? Take a picture of this guy's screenshot, his profile picture, etc., etc. All right, everyone got it? Okay. Here's my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion. Doesn't work for everyone else, but it's just my opinion. I don't know why guys nowadays, just young men, I don't know why young men nowadays seem to think that everything is a partnership decision. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I was brought up in an environment where my dad would work and my mom would like know that stuff was happening. That was it. Like good shit was happening or bad shit was happening sometimes. But that was the environment. She didn't need to know the ins and outs and the details of everything that was going on. So I don't understand why, you know, like people ask me this question, like, are you looking for a woman that understands Bitcoin? It's cool, and I've dated a girl that understood Bitcoin, probably to a certain extent earlier, and in the use case of Bitcoin better than me. But that's not what it's about, right? It's like, why? That's not what it's about. I'm not looking, it's like, what if all of these other things are not aligned, but she's a Bitcoiner? What are you going to do? Like, stick it through? What are you talking about? So, you don't want to, if they said you should divest, you know, you don't want to hear my answer. If a woman tells me you need to divest. In fact, that's a good layup. That was a really good layup. Right, here's how it goes down. If a woman tells me that I need to divest from Bitcoin in 2023, seconds before a Bitcoin ETF is about to be released, my response to her is, I think you should worry about making me something I can digest and stop worrying about what I need to divest. It's as simple as that. I don't understand what all this complication is about. And I understand that, you know, there's women listening to this stream and et cetera, et cetera. I get all of that. But this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. Imagine, can you guys imagine someone holding like one Bitcoin, right? The most hardest, scarcest, most powerful asset in the world, in the history of the universe. And their partner, whether it's a man or a woman on either side, tells them to divest. And they go, okay, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to put 50% into gold. Right? Like, what are we talking about here? Everyone has their expertise. You know, if I had children and my lady came to me and said, "Hey, I think after all the work and research that I've done, I think this is the best way type of schooling, and this I want to make this change." Like I'm not. Why am I gonna fight about that? That's her expertise. It's like I got a story of someone I know. I won't say exactly too much about that, just in case anyone's watching. And this it's a couple, and they almost got divorced because they were choosing what type of curtains to put in the house, in the new house. Like they had arguments over what curtains to put in the house, and he came to ask me like, okay, what do I do in this scenario? I'm so stressed. And my response is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm new to this. I don't know how this works. So like let's. But my response was, do you give a shit? Just give her the Amex and say you trust her because you trust her style to get dressed. You trust her style when you're out and about and booking holidays and all this other stuff. So just give her the card, give her the Amex, and say, hey, I trust you. If you need any help, come back to me. Otherwise, I completely trust you to make this place look beautiful. Like, I don't know. How can you get divorced over, like, choosing what curtains to pick? Sarah said, if he wants to choose the curtains, he wouldn't be my husband. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was this weird. I don't know. It was a very, very strange way to be partners or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, if I was you, when would I discuss what it is? I mean, it depends on what type of setup you've got. With me, you know, oh, this is a good question. I'm gonna come back to this in a second. This is the type of live stream questions that I like. Here we go. Right. So for me, it's like if everything's working well in our lives, there's no reason to complicate it. It's just as simple as that. But if you're in a relationship which is more of a partnership, which is, by the way, that's the majority of the world, right? That's the majority of the world. In the majority of the world, both people have to work. Both people have to create value and bring the value to the family, right? Both people have to do that. That's the majority of the world. And in that scenario, that's one of the things that annoys me about the whole red pill community, because it's like most of these dudes that I listen to talk about, because these conversations are so mainstream now. Most of these dudes that I listen to talk about it, it's like, I want a woman to cook, clean, have as many children as I want, take care of the house, have a good relationship with my parents, good relationship with her parents, go to the gym all the time, make sure everything's good, have sex with me as much as I want. Oh, and by the way, I also need you to go to work as the same amount of hours that I go to work in order to, for us to maintain this lifestyle that we have, because we need 50%, we need your income in order to do it. It's like, come on, I don't know. That sounds a bit crazy. Right. What's the best fuck you watch? I'm gonna change this background first. Oh, this should trigger some people. There you go. Now I'm gonna stay away from all of that. Wow, you can like upload backgrounds and all kinds of stuff. There you go. Look at that. See, I think Sylvia said it right. Your relationship has to work for you. It doesn't matter what works for everyone else. I think that's the answer right there. I don't like it when, nowadays it seems like people are saying, oh, because it works for that person, then that's exactly what I want. And that doesn't always work. So what's the best fuck you watch? Firstly, you got to question why you want to say fuck you, okay? And then who you want to say fuck you to. Because in certain circles, a Rolex is a fuck you watch, right? In other circles, a Rolex is an entry ticket. So it depends on which circle you're in, where you're moving to, like who you're talking to, are they serious watch collectors, etc., etc. But for me, my favorite brand in the world is Patek Philippe, and I think any Patek Philippe says "fuck you" on certain levels. This is why, see, Sarah, do you really think this is a male dominated field? We're getting into some cancelable conversations here. Yeah, Martin, I still drink the Harrods Knightsbridge tea. I don't think a Rolex Daytona says "fuck you." Like, and this is the misconception. Everyone talks about, Rolex Daytona saying "fuck you." In Listen, the last friend I know that bought a Rolex Daytona bought it for his wife. That doesn't mean a Rolex Daytona is a girl's watch. I love wearing a Rolex Daytona as well, but it certainly depends on what type of "fuck you" want to say. Susie said I would never waste my Bitcoin on a watch, but that's just me. That's fair. Everyone has their own things that they love. So, what about this? By the way, can anyone give me like a bullet point summary of what's going on with Swan Bitcoin? Like what the drama is over the last couple days with Swan Bitcoin? Because I don't really know. Martin said, "Where can I buy a Patek Philippe? Any of the Patek Philippe boutiques. Go to the one in London and speak to Ed." What is your opinion on custody? Interesting question, right? So a lot of people right now are talking about, um, you know, custody ETFs coming out. It's going to prevent, prevent people from getting custody and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what you got to realize is that most assets in the world are not bearer instruments, right? Most assets in the world are not bearer instruments. So when you say that, when somebody says that custody is extremely important, it's like, yes. However, most assets are not. And there's a much shorter education curve on the non-custody path than there is on the custody path. So that's why my perspective is very simple. I just want people to own Bitcoin. And however they get there, that's cool. The next step is learning about custody. Okay, so apparently Swan canceled accounts that were involved in CoinJoins because their bank made them since CoinJoin breaks KYC. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds pretty reasonable to me. I don't understand how you can. Why are people attacking Swan for trying to enforce the rules of their banking partners? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I've never used Swan. I don't use Swan. I don't think I'll ever need to use Swan. But, you know, I don't I don't see what the issue there is. If their banking partners have said that you need to get rid of these accounts because they violate FinCEN laws or whatever it is, then what do you expect them to do? They're providing a facility to onboard fiat into Bitcoin, and they absolutely always recommend self-custody. So I don't understand why people are getting so bent out of shape on that. Do you recommend single sig or multi sig self custody? Multi sig all the way. Multi sig and out of your control. He said because they talk freedom and talk all this and that and then do this. So it's not about that. They've got banking partners. They're helping people onboard into Bitcoin. Their banking partners have certain regulations that they need to match up to. And now that's been enforced through Swan. So again, like I said, I have no market just open. Let's see what's going on over here. We're stable right now, okay? We had a pretty good break above resistance. We've come down, we've confirmed it, and now we'll see whether we continue up or not towards 40,500-ish. But yeah, like I don't understand why there's hate. What do you think about time locking Bitcoin? You know, yeah, okay. If you can't sit on your hands and you're not patient, sure, do that. Um, British Hollow, why do you have a Bitcoin address in your Twitter profile so you can send me your Bitcoin? What type of dumb question is that? What type of stupid fucking question is that? That's like saying, why do you have an address on the letter that you sent me so you can write back to me? Whatever. What CME gap are you talking about? It's already CME closed and it's opened again. So that's all done. It's happening right now. Sarah, I don't understand what you're trying to point out. This guy said, you greedy fuck. Holy shit. What are you guys gonna do when I actually start monetizing this? I put this tweet out and everyone lost their fucking minds. It was a couple months ago. It says, you think I'm not gonna monetize? You think I'm gonna build an audience and then not monetize it? The difference is between me and everyone else in the space is that I can record a video every single day for the next 8 years without having to take a penny. So I don't need to be fucked in the ass and take a penny from any of these Bitcoin services that are going to, end up broke, like BlockFi and and Celsius and all these other people who needed to advertise. I don't need to take a single penny from them. In fact, I much more respect what Pompliano's done, even though Bitcoiners are starting to turn on him. I much more respect what he's done. He's created businesses that create some value, and he's then offered them up as a choice to his audience. That makes sense to me. I think he learned his lesson. Are you selling any Bitcoin next bull run? No, I'm not, because I don't need to. I got other liquidity options. No, I won't buy different crypto. The fuck are you talking? Look at this. Would you break one Bitcoin and buy different cryptos that totals out to one Bitcoin? ¿Qué pasa? Firstly, shut the fuck up. Secondly, what are you talking about? You want to get to one Bitcoin of the hardest, most secure asset in the world, and then you want to buy other shit that totals into one Bitcoin, and then you got the nerve to speak Spanish to me at the same time when you know I don't speak the language? You clearly don't understand what Bitcoin is. You need to get to one Bitcoin first. And just for that question, you go on timeout. Are you going to be excited about the Ethereum ETF? I'm not even, listen, AKS, I'm not even going to bother with you. Who's the new Sailor podcast with today? You and Pomp would be a good talk. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I want to do this podcasting thing. Like with Eric, we have a relationship. We're banging on about watches, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. So it's different. We have a relationship, so it's I can talk to him. I don't know Pump. I don't know Pump 101. I don't know what that would be like. I don't really want to do the whole becoming a podcaster thing. Part of the reason is there's so many great podcasts out here. Like, why would you want me to launch a podcast? It doesn't make sense to me. Insider information is leaking that the Bitcoin ETF is likely to be announced this week by the 17th of November. What's your thoughts? Why do you think the candles are there for? That's the insider information that you need. The candles are there. You've got green candles now. That means Bitcoin ETF is imminent. Sylvia said, "You made me laugh. You get so worked up." It's not that I get worked up. Here's what it is. Okay, I'm going to try not to get worked up while talking about me getting worked up. Here's what it is. You got the hardest asset humanity has ever seen. You got one chance to get to one Bitcoin. And people are wanting to ask me whether this is like, whether we should diversify into shitcoins or not. It doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you just, I don't know, just go and, I don't even know what to say. So Chris said, what the hell is this? Hold on. Every dollar a Bitcoin extracts from the fiat system is a dollar you don't have to work for, don't have to fight traffic for on the way to work. No income taxes to pay over, plus is debasement resistance. Absolutely. Quandale said, you really think I'm a hoe now, don't you? Look at this. Will you do a birthday shout out if I send you some Bitcoin? Hey, you'll never know until you send it. Fucking hell. Sailor was with Crypto. Okay. I haven't seen that interview yet. What do you think about buying? This is a good question. What do you think about buying a house with Bitcoin in the future without using fiat currency? In my mind, everything will always be referenced to a future currency, a fiat currency, at least in my lifetime. So whether you do it, however you do it, you send the Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be referenced. See, I understand this question, and it's what's the point of Sailor buying all the Bitcoin? How's he getting it into the hands of those who need it? He ain't, because Sailor understands this is a land grab. This is what the happy hippies and the $10 a month DCA gang and the $1,000 net worthers are not understanding. I was on a Twitter Spaces the other day, and some guy was telling me that the real currency is love. And he doesn't like the fact that I keep telling people to get to one Bitcoin and it's all about the money and it's all about the Bitcoin. Sailor understands this is a land grab. It's a land grab first. And then you can then create services to get it into the hands of the people that need it, which is why I always say, rich people need Bitcoin more than poor people, and poor people need Bitcoin adoption more than rich people. That's how it will work. So we're not in that phase yet. Because you telling me someone who's broke in El Salvador had like buying Bitcoin and saving it, they can't afford to. They might be using Bitcoin as a transaction tool, and that's great, but they're spending that money. They're converting it and spending it. So there's phases for this thing. Right now it's the phase where the wealthy people come into holding Bitcoin, and then once they do that, then you can move over to the next phase. Chris, I think you'll be happy. You'll be happy. That's another person I text with all the time. We were texting the other day about how short Vivek Ramaswamy is. You're saying, how do you see your 10 final years of life? Changed my perspective on life and relationships, how I will think about choosing my life partner, and much more. Thanks, man. You're very welcome. That's a very powerful question. I think we went over that like 2 live streams ago. Did you try and get... Why are you asking the stupidest questions? Who is this person? Did you try and get yield from Celsius or Voyager? No, I didn't get yield from anyone. In fact, I was the only person on Clubhouse telling people that they shouldn't bother with this and they should be satisfied with an 80% CAGR and not trying to get an 82% CAGR and get fucked. Joe said, over the years, encourage people to get to 0.75, 0.5, 0.1. Keep doing the message. Don't quit. I don't know, Joe. I reckon that my message is going to become irrelevant sort of towards, not this cycle, but towards the cycle after that. I think there'll be enough content out there which people can refer to. I don't know. I don't even know whether I'll be around or not. Why do you think I'm so aggressive? People say I get worked up. I can't remember who said that. But, like, I see an actual finite amount of time here that people have access to this. Listen, AKS. AKS said, when Doji TF. You go in and time out. There you go. This guy said, I told my wife we need to get to 1 Bitcoin. This guy in a robe and a cigar told me. She said, let's do it. See, that's a good woman you got by your side right there. Great content as usual, bro. Thank you very much. What will happen if the ETF doesn't get approved? You'll see a down leg in the market. Pretty serious one. Card Shark said, I think I convinced a friend to buy 1 Bitcoin. Well done. That's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm talking about. Jake said, yo, bro, fuck me. Should I get to 1 Bitcoin or will half do? What, like, Jake, how old are you, Jake? I guarantee this is another millennial. I guarantee this is a millennial. I guarantee you're under 40 years old. There is not a single 40-year-old plus that I speak to, that I've done business with, that's a client, that's anything ever that says, I'm going to get to, half a Bitcoin and that'll be it. Every single one of them is salivating at the mouth as soon as they understand what Bitcoin is, to getting to 1 Bitcoin as a minimum and ideally going beyond that. Whereas all the millennials are like, hey, will I be okay if I just get to half a Bitcoin and then jack off all day? Find some value to create, generate some revenue, but get to 1 Bitcoin or die trying. Tell us your long-term Bitcoin strategy. There's 3 rules to this, okay? It's very complicated. I want you to pay attention, okay? Mr. B, Mr. O, I want you to pay attention. There's 3 rules to this. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin, okay? Step number 2, you shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy. That's my long-term Bitcoin strategy. Mr. Andrew said, British Hodl, do you hold any stocks? Yes, I do. When British Hodl merch store of robes. Jesus Christ. Just go to John Lewis in London. Michael, this is an interesting question. A lot of people ask me this about buying a house. Yes, I absolutely will do. When I know where I want to exactly settle down, where I want to raise children, and with the woman that I want to raise children with, absolutely, I will buy a house. It will be mortgage free. It will be protected in a trust. No matter what happens to me, that house will be absolutely independent and available as the basis of the castle and the empire for my children and my wife to feel safe. Um, and that's, yeah, I think, and that won't be classed as part of my net worth or anything like that. Can you do another video on how to borrow against or generate? Well, you didn't like my last video? What was wrong with the last one? Are you still buying other assets or just everything I do is just Bitcoin related, Bitcoin or Bitcoin related. The only other quote unquote asset that I will purchase is watches because I love watches, but I don't really class that as an asset. It's gonna store the value, but it's not gonna compound. Matthew said, we're always talking about the demand shock of Bitcoin halving, etc. Do you ever see Bitcoin stabilizing at some point in human history? Yes, absolutely. And I think there will be other opportunities to put your money to work when the 5-year CAGR of Bitcoin is somewhere around 25%, right? Right now it's 80%. Somewhere around 25%, then I might take some liquidity out, set up a passion business or whatever else I wanna do. Where do you buy 100K plus in Bitcoin without KYC or AML? Who do you trust? I don't. Everything I do is KYC'd. It's just with the setup I have, I can't do that. That's for people who want to buy $500 of Bitcoin. Would your conviction in Bitcoin change if Satoshi's coin started to move? No, my intrigue would, though. I would get more intrigued about what's going to happen. See, this is a real point right here, right? Working towards my one Bitcoin goal at 0.34 at the moment. Sometimes it feels like I never get there. I'm from Serbia. Making that kind of money here is tough. Absolutely. And you know what the craziest part is? By the way, I love Belgrade. Serbia is such a beautiful country. I love Belgrade. But the crazy part is you're out there in Serbia listening to the message, trying to work as hard as you can get to get to one Bitcoin, and there's people in America and the United Kingdom that are flying around the world high-fiving hippies with the amount of money that you're trying to slave away for to get to your one Bitcoin, because they don't give a shit, because they've been told that taking part in the community is more important. This is why countries like Serbia, countries like Colombia, countries like India, all these other countries that are coming up are the ones that are going to end up with the power, because they understand the value of owning the land. And that's what this gentleman realizes, right? Unless this is a woman, I don't know. This person realizes. I don't know how you identify. Bitcoin for Canadians said you were right. Plan B stock to flow model is still on track. Yeah, absolutely. The first one was on track. He only messed up by trying to change it up a little bit, right? A lot of it. So The first model is still on track. I don't know what everyone's going on about. I don't know why everyone hates on Plan B. Personally, it's a thesis. It's a model. It is a thesis. And everyone's trying to shit on a guy's thesis? How does that make any sense? Have you heard of the Bitcoin mortgage company Ledden? I have, but I don't know much about it. I haven't bothered. Gael, I think that's how you pronounce your name. I'm not sure. Said, I'll sell, I'm assuming the word sell is supposed to be, I'll sell my unvaxxed sperm for sats. Hey, whatever works. Get to 1 Bitcoin. Switched gold to Bitcoin last week. I'm ready. Congratulations. I did that in 2020. Robert said, if you hear yield on Bitcoin, run away as fast as possible. Good call for now. Let's see. Let's see. Michael Saylor estimates Bitcoin to 10x in 2024. No joke. What do you think? If that ETF comes out, all bets are off the table. But Adam said, by the way, got my 50-year-old pre-retirement mom to start panicking about not having enough Bitcoin. Good. Some people just keep copying and pasting their questions. Like, you got to give me a bit of time to scroll through this and put you in timeout. Everyone goes on about one Satoshi will be 1 penny or $1, this, that, and the other. It's like, come on, $100 million of Bitcoin. Hey, from your mouth to God's ears. Yeah, BlackRock, Susie is talking to someone else, but she said, I'd love to have BlackRock ask me for my 1 Bitcoin so I can double the price and charge a huge fee. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to come to you and say, hey, give us your money. Jake, stop messing with my heartstrings. He said I got to 1 Bitcoin years ago. Congratulations. Stop pulling my heartstrings. Um, 1.9 BTC here. Okay, congrats. All right, legacy tier strategies. You're on block list. All right. What's going on here? Okay. If you were in your 20s, what would you do right now? If you're in your 20s right now, what would you do knowing what's coming with Bitcoin? It's kind of weird. I don't really know how to answer this question. I'm not the guy to answer this question. I started my first, working in real estate when I was 16. I had the personality for it. Some people don't. My content is really for people who have, some assets and need to get them diversified into Bitcoin. Maybe they have real estate or stocks or whatever else. So I'm really not the right person to speak to about this. But, you know, if I were you, I'd figure out some value creation strategies and get them pumping to get some Bitcoin. Let's just observe the stupidity of this person for a second. Let's enjoy this. Would you do some videos on watches? No. Well, if someone asks me about it, I'll talk about it, but I'm not gonna do videos on watches. Everyone got enough of this guy's stupidity? I'm going to move on to the next one. This isn't stupid, it's a good question. Would you talk about wealth preservation, like forming trusts for assets, how pros and cons, etc.? I can't really talk about this because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an asset protection lawyer, so you need to find someone who is an asset protection lawyer to walk you through that. What I will tell you is anyone who has any amount of wealth in the long term always has that lawyer on point. So you need to find, that's going to be part of your core team. You need a tax specialist, you need a legal specialist, you need someone that understands how to protect assets, etc., etc. So, you know, I can't talk about it. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, I'm not anything. So you need to find someone who is. And the way to start with that is to find someone who you know has a lot of wealth, and then ask them who their lawyer is or who their accountant is, and then speak to that person. But I highly recommend getting a trust. Well, I can't recommend it because I'm not a lawyer. I highly recommend reading about trusts. Oh, look, another stupid comment. I'm guessing this is in response to my comment about buying a house for my family to live in. Is there a dip happening right now? What's going on? No, it's not a dip. It's not a dip. Eric said that story from Eric's interview hit hard. Michael Saylor's first entry was 10,000 Bitcoin because buying 20 Bitcoin would be a waste of time. He did the work, figured out Bitcoin, and went full relentless. This is what have I been saying for so long, right? If you're gonna put $100,000, leave it in the bank, and go to somewhere and say I'm gonna do a $1,000 a month DCA for like, what are we talking about here? Like, you might as well just learn about the asset, figure it out, and then buy it. Do you have any pets? Oh my God. Saylor said he bought 17,000 Bitcoin at $9,500. I believe that was his personal stash, right? Yeah. He's up a ton on that, absolutely. You guys love my terms, don't you? Happy hippies and $10 a month DCA gang. How do you guarantee that your Bitcoin will be passed on when you die? That's what lawyers are for. I have never seen Romeo Santos live, no. Love to, though. So Belly, I can tell you have done absolutely zero effort. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's literally a video which says how to borrow against Bitcoin, or something like that. Yeah, so I think, an ETF is coming in 2023. I think it makes most sense. And again, if it happens by January 10th, I'll say I was right. And you guys can tell me I was wrong because it's actually technically January 2nd, well, it will be January 3rd, 2024. And I'll tell you to get fucked and that I was right. That's what I'm going to say. I just want you to know that right from now. I'm going to take ownership for that. I think it's coming 2023, and if it's done by any time in January, I will take credit for being right. Because it makes the most sense business-wise to get this done. And now you got BlackRock coming out and telling you that they're literally telling Fox News, yeah, we're pretty confident that this is going to be done by January. Come on. No, Crypto Guapo. It's not a recording. How nice was Sailor's house? Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I've had more comments about that story about my dinner at Michael Saylor's house with Eric and Bitcoin Tina in 2021 than almost anything from that interview. Someone said, what time do you normally go to sleep and wake up? How is that relevant? I go to sleep when I'm tired and I wake up when I'm done being tired. This is a good question. Do you own the place that you're in now? I'm assuming you're talking about this property. No, I do not. I don't believe in owning any property until I know where I want to be in the world. I just see property as an inefficient investment. So I would rather rent, give myself the flexibility. So I have the setup is pretty good. I can basically get on a plane and be anywhere with the same setup in 2 different places. So, it's pretty good. I prefer that, and then once my Bitcoin pays off, once I decide where I want to settle down, etc., then I'll buy an amazing house. But that's a good question because, a lot of people I don't want to be lying to people saying, "Oh yeah, I think you should not buy real estate while I'm living in a property that I own." So that's a good question. I don't own this at all, and I never would want to. When did you feel at peace about the value you stored in Bitcoin? What a question. When you say at peace, you mean satisfied? Because I'm not satisfied. I still look at some of my watches that I've got, even though I reduced my collection a ton, and I'm just like, do I really love you? Do I really, really love you? Or am I just lying to myself? So I don't know about satisfied, but at peace, I would say the end of 2020. The end of 2020, when it surpassed the previous 20K high, which is when I was in the previous cycle watching it thinking it was a scam, that's when I would say that I felt at peace. My plan is to use profit from shit coins this bull run to buy more Bitcoin. You know what? I wish you the best of luck, Gavin. But you know what the truth is? The truth is, you could be entering a cycle right now where your shit coins don't do as well. Because you got the SEC on your ass, you got no VC capital, United States is completely shut down. So what do? right? What do you do in that scenario? So best of luck with that. Best of luck, Gavin. What's a good entry level watch? Good question. Probably a Rolex Submariner Classic. Rolex Submariner. It's a pretty good entry level watch to get yourself in the game. Well, I don't know what you mean by entry level as well, so let me know. This is an interesting question. See, now you're asking interesting questions, Dingle. Okay. See, you were asking weirdo questions first. Now you're asking interesting questions. How much Bitcoin did you buy when you had your come to Jesus moment? So, as I've said, that moment of just being frozen in the park while I was walking around it and realizing I'd messed up, I went from that to walking. By the time I walked home, I had already owned a full Bitcoin, and then it was the process of everything else. So that come to Jesus moment, I don't know, what do you count that, the first 48 hours? It was a reasonable amount. It was a reasonable amount. Matthew said, in 2020 at the halving, there were 3.2 million Bitcoin on exchanges. There are currently 1.5 to 1.8 million. Do you see a day where spot Bitcoin is not available? No, I don't see that because there will always be a price. So I see a day where the price spikes. All right, I'm trying to catch up on this stream now, on these comments now. Just read Relentless by Tim Grover. Great recommendation. That's a book. That is a book. That is a book and a half. What is Tina like in person? Oh man, he is very, very eloquent. He's an absolute gentleman in person. Not saying he's not that online, but he's an absolute gentleman in person, and completely and utterly respectful. And yeah, a great. He definitely has his opinions, and he's a great dinner guest if you like debating over dinner. Does Michael dominate any conversation? Yes, absolutely. Have you lost any friends because of Bitcoin? No, 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 not just solely because of Bitcoin. See, Dingle, you're back to asking stupid questions now. What's going on? Stay consistent. Do you think the big banks will give you the option to store Bitcoins and allow us to borrow against it? Yes, at some point. Susie said, I lost my tenants and home in Hurricane Sandy. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. And didn't get a dime from FEMA or the government, had to walk away, never again. Shit, I'm so sorry to hear that. Robert said Gensler can target and kill any alt at any time. Absolutely. And he has the right to because they are securities. Metal Girl said after I hold on, let me see it bigger. After I sell my crypto, what exactly do you do with it? Are you supposed to have many banks so you don't go over the 250K max per bank? I'm kind of leery of the top stable coins. Well, firstly, you should have Bitcoin, not crypto. Trying to control myself because everyone's like, you get worked up, so I'm trying to control myself. Plus I'm talking to a lady here, so it's a little bit different. Basically, you need to hold Bitcoin. You need to understand what Bitcoin is, and then once you understand what Bitcoin is, you will understand that you would be silly to sell your Bitcoin for fiat. However, if you do sell your Bitcoin for fiat for any point to generate liquidity, you definitely do want to uh, stay under the FDIC limits per bank account. But you need to figure out what is. If you're going to store a lot of cash, the best way to do it is actually have a broker account, right? It's to have a broker account. Because when you have a broker account, there's different liabilities on a broker account and what a bank can and can't do with your money. When you have a bank account, you are a creditor to the bank. When you have a broker account, they have a fiduciary responsibility. So you need to look up that. You need to look up the differences. And I would keep my money in a broker account. It's not a bank account. AKS, you back, yeah? So the timeout worked. But he's back now. He said, what's a good entry-level helicopter? I have no idea. Howard said, love your content. I'm holding MicroStrategy and GBTC now. Any thoughts on these two after the ETFs are launched? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. GBTC will obviously do really well because the price will move up at the underlying asset. But MicroStrategy, we're going to have to see on that. I'm not sure. I'm sure it will go up because of the value of the underlying Bitcoin, but by how much, who knows? Thomas said, have you converted all of your gold to Bitcoin? Yes, in 2020. By November of 2020. Rave said, I paced in front of my Wrangler for a week, sold it, happy as a clam. Congrats. Yeah, I felt really good after I sold my car when I was back in London last October as well. My parents are, they're in Bitcoin. So they're watching it, they're learning about it. My mom's sending me videos of different people and this, that, and the other. So, they're in it. It works. You just have to get them to understand why they bought the first thing in the first place. Matthew said, can you please design an ST DuPont lighter and sell it as merch? Probably not. Although I should speak to them. They're probably not happy with me because I ended up buying stdupont.com, which cost them a little bit of money to get back. And not to give to me, by the way, because I didn't realize. I was just on a whim one night, just looking around, and I saw it. I didn't realize you can actually file a what's it called, a intellectual property claim or something, and there's like an international court that deals with all of these online intellectual property things. And if you are not using the domain for any reason, they can just reverse the transaction. So all right, well, so ended up costing me money and them money, but they're probably not happy with me. Yep, I've read Sovereign Individual. Is it true all 12 ETFs will get approved by next Friday? Look, we got green candles, so I mean it's pretty much done, right? We got 500 people watching right now, guys. You know, hold on. Yeah, we got 500 people watching right now. I'd appreciate if you could share, and if you're new to this, subscribe and tap the like button, and whatever else you gotta do. Have you ever thought about buying shitcoins before you became a Bitcoin maxi? No, I never really thought about it, but I have bought some. But the only reason I've bought some is because as an investor coming from my background, you got to be able to just like see what the hell's going on. So you know, and everyone knows this already. Yes, I have bought some shitcoins in the past, but it was for experimental purposes to see, even NFTs, right? Because you just got to see what the hell's going on here. Does this make any sense? And the only way you can do that and actually interact with it is once you put your own money up on the line. But it's nothing crazy. So, yes, but no, if that makes sense. Or no, but yes. One or the other. Love, laugh, leave. Said, don't change British. Get worked up. Jesus. Right, I think I'm going to skip a bunch of these comments and just go to the newest ones. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm going to go random scroll and then stop and see what happens. I don't own any ordinals, no. What's this? Hold on. You said in an earlier video that if you buy Bitcoin every month when you get paid, that's an idiot's DCA plan. I didn't say that. What I said was, if you buy Bitcoin every month when you get your paycheck, that's a lump sum. That's a monthly lump sum purchase. People are getting DCA and lump sum absolutely confused. I'm talking about like a true DCA versus a true lump sum. These are two very, very different things. A true DCA is when you have $100,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is, and you put it in the bank, and then you say every week or every month I want X amount of that being purchased. Whereas a lump sum is I have now a brand new sum of cash, a lump sum of cash, and I'm going to push it all into Bitcoin at the same time. That is what a true lump sum is. By the way she's asking questions, Metal Girl looks like she has some money. So whoever is one of those millennials that, doesn't want to work or anything like that, I think you need to go to her and get a deal sorted out. And she'll take care of you by the sounds of it. And by the way, if you show up and it turns out to be a man, that ain't my fault. I think it's very important. Someone was just saying that my silver and gold is distributed across the USA, so it's been a pain in the ass. Yeah, but jurisdictional arbitrage is very, very important, right? You've got to have some element of jurisdictional arbitrage. You've got to be, if you're in America and the only jurisdictional arbitrage that you have is different states, you got to go blue states, red states, etc., swing states, and figure that out. Luckily for me, or unluckily, whichever way you want to put it, I can use different countries, which is what I did. So, you're going to see a lot of negative ETF stuff coming out soon, especially from Bitcoiners, because it's going to kill all their businesses. The same thing happened when I was in the gold space. A lot of the people like Mike Maloney and all these people used to shit on me when I was in the gold space because I was the one talking about pro ETF stuff. And the reason why I was talking about pro ETF stuff is that for the average person, if they just wanted to put $100 in at that time, Bitcoin's different, but in gold, if you want to just put $100 in to gold, it's going to cost you 60% as a premium, as I've shown you and demonstrated in one of the videos that I did. Whereas if you bought the ETF, suddenly you had the advantage of having all of those economies of scale, and you could generate your yield, right? So it's better to buy through the ETF. And all of these companies, all of the Bitcoin exchanges, the smaller ones, all of these people that are involved in Bitcoin services are going to start shitting on ETFs very, very soon because they're going to realize how much they are going to affect their business. So I'm warning you of this right now. It might not make sense right now, but it's going to happen. It's going to come because they're going to use the argument of, oh, it's not your Bitcoin. Oh, this paper Bitcoin. Oh, it's all this shit and this, that, and the other. It's exactly what the gold guys did when I was the only one talking about the validity of the gold ETF and using it to generate a cash flow on your gold. We haven't even started talking about that. The arrival of the ETF allows you to start generating a cash flow on your Bitcoin, right? That's a little bit more technical, but you can sell covered calls against an ETF position pretty easily, and that's how institutions generate cash flows. So, there's all these other strategies that are going to come out once an ETF is approved. But a lot of these Bitcoin-only brands that have been built, who have been VC funded, etc., they're all falling apart, right? In reality, they're all falling apart. Maybe not all of them, but they're falling apart, right? Most of these guys have got VC funding. They've got, X millions of dollars a year, multi-millions of dollars a year worth of costs, and they're only generating, let's say a company's got $30 million of costs every year, and then they're only making, $9 or $10 million a year, if that, right? Because most of them are making 1% or whatever. They got the race to the bottom on the fee. If you're trying to make 1% on all the Bitcoin you sell, think about that. You make 1% on all the Bitcoin you sell $50 million worth of Bitcoin, and you're going to end up with $500,000, right? You're going to end up with $500,000, right? What do you do with that? You have to sell $50 million worth of Bitcoin, while every institutional client that you were aiming for, that you set up a whole departments and all this other stuff for, whole teams for, is now forced to use Coinbase, and every retail person is looking at it going, fuck all that nonsense, I'm just going to go buy the ETF because all I want is the price exposure. So it is a bad day, and I put a tweet out about this months ago. It's a bad day to be in that business. The best thing that I think, will happen in this scenario is they either, fool someone to do a SPAC and go public and get out, or the VCs get out, or they go out of business. Like, it's going to be really, really tough. They downscale, go out of business, stop doing all this stuff. Think about it. You make $500,000 for selling $50 million worth of Bitcoin, right? Like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that when you've got a whole team, you've got people all around the world, you've got offices in different places? What do you do with that? It's tough. It's a very, very tough business, which is why the very fact that they're even doing it is extremely impressive and important for the community, right? That work has to be commended. But in reality, of the valuation of the business cycle of having a Bitcoin exchange, especially when, let's say JP Morgan realizes that they can sell you Bitcoin through the app. And if you buy it through the app and store it with them, which 90% of people will end up doing, they can lend out against that Bitcoin, right? It's like, it makes sense for JP Morgan just come and go, hey, click, we got a Bitcoin exchange now, right? Because Coinbase has got the back end infrastructure, so it doesn't take much to actually do that. So there's a lot there that that you have to be careful of, and if you've got money on any of these exchanges, the good news is a lot of the Bitcoin exchanges, like Swan for example, do a really great job at telling people to take self custody. I'm pretty sure like 85% of their clients take self custody, right? But if you haven't, I would highly recommend you do that. At the end of the day, in this race, here's what's going to happen. I'll predict it for you right now. By the end of the next cycle, not this one, the end of the next one after that, 2028 cycle. Most of these exchanges are going to go bankrupt. They're making more money doing other ancillary projects than they are actually selling the Bitcoin. And again, this is all speculation. I'm not basing this off of any insider information that I have or anything like that. It's just common sense and speculation. They're making more money doing ancillary activities rather than actually selling the Bitcoin. They've got burn rates that are multiple times higher than the amount of revenues that they're generating. This doesn't work out unless they got VCs that are just going to keep coming in and piling more money into it. And then you wonder, right? So it's like, which VC is going to do that when BlackRock's got an ETF, and they would much prefer that all these exchanges went out of business and people just use the ETF, right? So you got a winner there, which is Coinbase. They've played the cards absolutely right, and I said this months ago, Coinbase is going to win. And then the other winner is going to be the ETFs. And then you're going to have all these fringe exchanges in the middle that are going to be talking about why the ETF sucks, and the reality is that their profits getting eaten into, and the profit was low anyway. Because what can you compete with in a Bitcoin world? The only thing you can compete with is the transaction on the Bitcoin and the spread that you charge, the spread that people, don't perceive well, but that's a cost, right? If you have a spread on the Bitcoin, that's a cost. So that's pretty much it. And making, most of these companies are probably making more money selling ancillary shit rather than actually, the actual Bitcoin. So I don't know. It's a very, very tough world. I commend them a lot for continuing to work and provide value and create value in those spaces, but it is extremely tough. It's my little rant on exchanges. Susie said, what happens when something happens to one of your multi-sig partners and they can no longer sign? It doesn't matter. They don't hold the majority of the keys. These backgrounds are hilarious. There you go. We'll stick to that for now. Oh, look. I don't know. Hold on. Metal Girl said, haha, I'm a girly girl that loves Bitcoin. Are you being flirted with? Are we going to get a relationship? British Huddle relationship channel right now? Matchmaking channel? Is this what's happening right now? I can't see if they are talking to someone or not, but there you go. I'm happy for you both. This is an interesting question. Can you talk about the tax abilities for the ETF? I heard you can take money you make in crypto and transfer it with no tax. Firstly, you mean Bitcoin, not crypto. There will always be a taxable event as soon as you sell it. So unless there is a deposit function into the ETF, like GBTC had a deposit function, right? I remember Chamath talking about that. I think that's what he did with his Bitcoin. So there is a deposit function inside of, if there is a deposit function, then you'll be able to just deposit it. And I don't think that there will be a sale moment there, but an accountant's going to have to work that one out for you. Just solo quiero darte un beso. Yeah, Matthew, I've read parts of it, and I used to talk to Jason quite a bit during that fun period that he had. Very smart guy. Susie said, "What happens when exchanges go away? How does one withdraw from a wallet?" Well, that's the whole point. You get your Bitcoin out first before the exchange has time to go bankrupt. Sylvia said, "That was amazing. British Hollow, you are so calm and composed." I'm not sure what part you're talking about, but I appreciate it. Robert said he's been looking for a metal girl. There you go. You're welcome. Um, Price prediction on Bitcoin this week. Holy shit. Let's have a look. Let's make ourselves look stupid. This week. If this breakout holds to the upside, I think we go to 40,500. If an ETF gets approved or the 19.4Bs start moving forward, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I can't make a price. You cannot make a price prediction when you've got a fucking flood coming at you and you've got the hardest asset humanity has ever known that's at its lowest availability on exchanges, and the floodgates to 400, 500 billion dollars of capital gets unloaded, and you got all this media. That was the problem. Last time with the gold ETF, there was none of this media. It wasn't like people going, "Hey, I want to buy that. I just don't know how to buy it." That's what was going on. That's what's going on right now. That wasn't happening with gold. With gold, everyone was talking about, "Hey, I want to own gold. I can own gold through the fucking bars." And now there's an ETF. This time, it's different. For a year, all these institutional clients have been told, "Yeah, you need to get into Bitcoin. You need to get into Bitcoin." And they're sitting there salivating at the mouth because they just can't. And now they finally can. So there's no way I can predict what's going to happen once this floodgate opens up. And the truth of it is, despite all of that, there's still only 3 rules to Bitcoin. It's step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy. I love you guys.